Hello, so my name is Pavanatwa, and I would like to just give some context about the SDAIE strategy I will be teaching today, or in today's lesson. I chose to do an anticipatory guide because I believe it's a great into activity starting with a new unit, especially when discussing a novel or a text of any sort, whether it be research-based or just a creative writing text. An anticipatory guide is basically where students answer a series of questions that have to do with the unit, and they answer agree, disagree, maybe. And in my anticipatory guide, I add a little section for reasoning after each question. That way if they are kind of in between, they can put the reasoning in, not much for me, but more for themselves, so when they do refer back to their guide, they can see, oh yeah, that's why I think that, or I thought that, and that's how much it's changed by the end of the lesson, or even the entire unit that we are learning. The anticipatory guide for the class I'm going to be teaching today will be for sophomores, so 10th grade English Language Arts, and we will be discussing the novel The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. The learning objective is for students will be able to identify the central idea of the Joy Luck Club and analyze it, citing evidence and determining the point of view of the author. The ELD learning language objective is students will be able to look at the complexity of words used by the author to determine perspective and the central idea of the novel and support these with proper evidence. So the whole lesson plan, or the unit the lesson that I had created starting with the anticipatory guide was the anticipatory guide, and that leads them to a character web, which leads them to group work in which they will be analyzing a character, but using the language and looking at the central idea of the novel to analyze that character and see the development of the character throughout the novel. In this lesson, they will be doing the anticipatory guide, the character analysis of the main character, June, and looking at the way her relationship with her mother and father impacted the story. And the visual that I will be using, the worksheet, is right here. This is what the students would be looking at, and I'll read the questions to you. The language Amy Tan uses in the Joy Luck Club is strong, filled with detail, repetition, and other stylistic choices. And then it's agree, disagree, maybe, and reasoning. Then it's June had a good/healthy relationship with her mother and father. Agree, disagree, maybe, and reasoning. The culture did not impact the children's relationship with their parents. Agree, disagree, maybe, reasoning. Assimilation and the American dream are both themes found in the Joy Luck Club. Agree, disagree, maybe. The central idea of the Joy Luck Club is that there's always going to be a bond between a parent and a child, no matter what forces, even if they are cultural, presents conflict. Agree, disagree, maybe, and reasoning. And then there's the author uses strong language, agree, disagree, maybe, reasoning, and your relationship with your parents is like the one seen in the book. Agree, disagree, maybe, reasoning. Also, the reason that I put this, the use of strong language and any reference to language, any questions referring to language twice, is because that is what I want them to be focusing on, even through the character analysis. All right, well, now let's get started with the lesson. All right, class, it's time to start the lesson. Before we begin with anything too crazy, we're going to start with our anticipatory guides. Now, does everyone remember what an anticipatory guide is? Raise your hand. Awesome, yes. Okay, yeah. So an anticipatory guide is a worksheet in which you answer a series of questions. Those questions will be answered with agree, disagree, or maybe. But you did miss out one part. There is the reasoning part. Now, you do not have to fill out a reasoning for each question. The reasoning section of each of the worksheet is just for you guys, for you to write notes about how you feel about the question, about your answer to the question, or anything else that you think is noteworthy. So when you look back at it, or if you refer back to your anticipatory guide later on through the lesson, you have a kind of starting point or an idea of what you were thinking when you answered each question. It's also really cool to have when you look back at the end of the lesson to see how your thoughts and ideas have changed. Does anyone have any questions? Awesome, no questions. So let's get started. It's already on your desk, so I'll give you guys a few minutes to fill out your anticipatory guides, and then I'll check in with you guys and we can have some discussion and then move on to the next part of the lesson. All right, class, so now you guys have had a few minutes to go through your anticipatory guide and answer the questions. And I would like to go over each question with you guys, and we'll have a little bit of discussion before we move on to the next part of the lesson. So first, let's start off with the first question, which is, the language Amy Tan uses in the Joy Luck Club is strong, filled with detail, and repetition, and other stylistic choices. Raise your hand if you agree. Awesome, awesome. And disagree? Okay, not as many hands. And maybes? Any maybes? All right, no maybes. So let's talk about why you guys agree. So what do you guys think are the strong strong language choices filled with detail, repetition, and other stylistic choices? So let's talk about the stylistic choices. Let's start there. I know it's a big question. It's very broad. Let's talk about the stylistic choices you guys see in there. Yes. Okay. All right. Similes. Similes is a good one. We see a few of those. What else? What else did we see? We did see metaphors. Good. Repetition. We did see repetition. And personification. That one's a big one. We see a lot of that as well. We also see, what else do we see in her language? What else does she do? Yes, she does. She does incorporate some of her cultural language. And she kind of defines it for us as well. And she keeps it really even flowing. Do you agree? Do you agree? All right, so after this discussion, how many of you guys have changed from disagree or maybe to agree? All right, looks about just about all of you. But those of you that didn't agree at the beginning, can you guys kind of share why you didn't agree? Oh, you just put that because you... Okay, so yeah. No, you can't just put that because you just wanted to circle disagree. But yeah, agree that there is figurative language and repetition, detail, and all that, stylistic choices in Amy Tan's writing in the Joy Luck Club. So let's move on to the second question. June had a good and healthy relationship with her mother and father. Raise your hand if you agree. Okay. None of you? No, two of you? Two of you, all right. And why do you agree that her relationship with her mother and father are healthy? Okay, so you think it's healthy because that's kind of how how your mother and father interact with each other? Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm first to say that me and my parents, we butt heads a lot as well, but that doesn't mean that we don't love each other and it's not a healthy relationship. It's true. For those of you that disagree with the statement, can you raise your hands? Awesome. There's a few more of you. Can somebody tell me why you disagree? Yeah. You don't think it's healthy? Why don't you think it's healthy? Okay, because you feel as if she and her mom fight so much that they don't even like talking to each other. That's true. We did see a little bit of that. She does explain that a little bit in the novel. What else? Anyone else? Okay. Her relationship's a little better with her father. That's true. You can say that as well. Can you tell me why? He wasn't as hard as on her? Do you think maybe he just wasn't around as much? The mom was around a little bit more? Could that be a reason? Okay, all right. And any maybes? We have a maybe. Ooh, can I ask you why you're a maybe? Can you tell me what you're kind of thinking when you say maybe? That is an excellent point. For some people, that might be normal and healthy in some people's eyes, and for others, it might not be. So the answer maybe is actually a really good choice. I like that. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. The culture did not impact the children's relationship with their parents. Agree, disagree, or maybe? All right, raise your hand if you agree. Okay, we have a couple. Why do you guys agree? You don't think it impacted them? Oh, you changed your mind? You agree? Okay, or you disagree? Okay, so do you have anything? Okay, no, you both changed your mind to disagree. Okay, so why does everybody disagree? Anybody disagree, raise your hands. Okay, so most of you, if not all of you. Okay, so why do you guys disagree that culture did not impact the children's relationship with their parents? Okay, go. That's an awesome point. Yes, throughout almost each and every single one of the children-parent relationships, the parents were trying to force the culture on the student or the children, and the children kind of were like, no, like they're torn. They're essentially torn. So we can call that maybe a struggle between cultural identities, and maybe that impacted their relationship with their parents. Yeah? All right, was anyone a maybe? No maybes? Okay, so let's move on. I like the discussion we're having here. I like what you guys are thinking. Okay, so assimilation and the American dream are both themes found in the Joy Luck Club. agree? Who agrees with this statement? Okay, most of you agree. So what do you guys agree with? What you guys agree? Because, okay, so you're gonna, how about you raise your hand right there? So you're gonna, all right, yes. So we did see that these children are struggling to assimilate to the American culture because their parents are putting on a lot of the like their Chinese culture on them. That's a good point. And their parents are just trying to live the American dream. Is there any other themes that you guys do see in there, perhaps? Relationship between mothers and daughters. That one's kind of on the surface and kind of plain and simple, huh? And then we talked a little bit about identity and culture. That's a good one. Anything else? No? All right. Was anyone a maybe? Why were you a maybe, sweetie? Oh, just because you did see different themes. So yeah, that's a good answer. So maybe you guys can jot down those themes in the reasoning section, the different themes that we discussed. Because remember, a lot of texts, a lot of things we read have more than one theme. And it's important to try to analyze each one so you can get an even better picture of the novel at hand. All right, so moving on to central idea. The central idea of Joy Luck Club is that there's always going to be a bond between a parent and child, no matter what forces, even if they're cultural, presents conflict. Agree. Who agrees? Oh, wow, this is unanimous. Looks like every single one of you agree. All right, so can I get a couple hands telling me why you agree? Go ahead. All right, yeah, because that's exactly what's happening. Even though she fought with her mom, they didn't have the best relationship, now that her mom's gone, she essentially does miss her. And she's trying to figure out what went wrong, what was going on. She's trying to understand her mom now. It's true. They went through everything, and the mother-daughter relationship still stood. All right, let's move on. The author uses strong language. We talked about language a little earlier. Let's talk a little bit more. What else do you guys see in the Joy Luck Club about language that you guys would like to talk about? If you agree that the author uses strong language, raise your hand. And just about all of you. Okay, well, after going over the first one, I would assume. What do you guys see? What are some examples? Go ahead. Yes, the writing is very filled with powerful images. The way Amy Tan writes, it's beautiful. You were basically sitting there alongside with her on this journey. What is one scene that stood out to you that you would like to discuss, that you were like, this is an image? Go ahead. When her mom's talking about running away with the twins. Yeah, that was a good one. That is a good one. All right. So who disagrees that our author uses strong language? No one? All right. And any maybes? Nope. All right. Okay. So the last one, the last question is really open to context, and we're not going to pry too deep in it because I don't want to get too personal if people feel uncomfortable. But the question is, your relationship with your parents is like the one seen in the book. Agree, disagree, or maybe. Raise your hand if you agree, you're comfortable saying that you agree and you would like to discuss it. Okay, go ahead. Your relationship. Okay, all right. So you say that your parents don't really understand where you're coming from. Okay, and you guys are from Mexico? And all right, I can see that the assimilation's kind of off, so you can relate to June in this. There, your mom might not see where you're coming from when you say stuff. Okay, I like that. And any disagrees? And you're comfortable sharing? Okay, go ahead. I like that perspective. Okay, so your parents do understand where you're coming from. Your parents do get it, and your parents are very open with communication. See, there's two sides of everything, and I can personally say that. Some things are just different. Awesome. All right, any maybes? No? Okay. All right, well, it's time to move on to the next part of the lesson, and let's talk a little bit about character analysis.